Hello, welcome back to the Avonword podcast. My name is Keyaira Cameron, and I'm a senior at Avonworth High School, and I'm also one of your co-editors-in-chief and a co-podcast host for today.
And my name is Danica Raich, and I'm also a co-editor-in-chief, and I am a senior.
Okay, so we have some exciting news for you guys. We are coming out with a new issue. By the time you see this, it will either already be out or almost out. It's coming out at the end of the month, February, and we're really excited to talk to you about that today. So our first thing, let's talk about a little bit of like the process it takes to actually make an issue, because it's a long process, and Danica knows way more about it than me because you're like in the trenches with it. You're like making the
That's certainly an interesting way to put it. Yes. Well, I feel like when we start an issue, we kind of start with just the idea for it, like what we want. It's normally just like you and me kind of starting out talking about it, and then we'll take that to Mr. Tuffiash, and then we'll take Mr. Tuffiash's ideas to the group, and then we'll have the group contribute, and then we pack it all together into a PDF, grab some captivating photos, put it together in the PDF.
So sports was a big thing that we definitely wanted to focus on for this issue too, because it was lacking a little bit in our other one, just because we didn't have the manpower or the possibilities to be able to cover sports how we had originally planned, before the pandemic, or even in the summer before we knew to the extent of how it would affect us. So in this new issue, I really hope that you guys can look at the sports section and really see the effort that it goes in to taking the photos, getting to the games, and really allowing the student body to have some connection, because not everyone is able to go to the games. So there's also some other things in the issue as well, though. We have vaccine coverage with the coronavirus vaccine. Allison Beck is writing a story on that, but we also have clubs and sports, like I said, the impeachment and insurrection. It's a big issue. It has a lot of content. We're excited for that.
Right, and Laurel Purcell took this article, and she's really been doing a lot of research into how clubs are meeting during the pandemic, how they used to meet, what's changed, and even what's not changed throughout this whole pandemic with clubs. We're covering a mock trial, plug to mock trial. We won our first competition, Key Club, any pathway meetings, Shouts. Keyaira is a part of Shout.
Yep.
And is that that's the right name for it now, right? Social Justice Club, Shout.
Yep. And that actually, Shout is partnered with South Bayette's Shout organization as well, like their social justice club. There's just so many stories in this issue that we're excited to share and that are really interesting.
Right, and we do have Carly Spar, our content editor, writing a editorial on how, the senior classes experienced so much change in their 4 years. Every senior class has said at graduation that they're the guinea pigs, but we really were the guinea pigs. What with the Lopes Lounge, the substitute teachers we had,
Ninth grade academy.
That
was a year.
What is that large room?
LGI.
LGI.
Yeah.
Man, I haven't been in there in so long now. We used to be in there all the time, but yeah, just so many things that have happened to us since freshman, and Carly tried to encapsulate that and do an editorial, and every senior should read that, along with our editorials, of course.
And of course, the biggest change of all, we're the first class to have our senior year really fully affected by a global pandemic for the entire year. I haven't even been in school yet. I've been virtual the entire year. So this is completely new for me. I can't even remember what it's like to go to school for 5 days a week and actually be in the building and waking up at 7 something and waking up at 7 something and waking up at 7 something and with the snow, we've been having a lot of snow days, but they aren't the traditional snow days. I think one thing that no one really factored in about having these virtual days is that now we don't have an actual snow day. Like, we aren't getting school off and they're just like, go, like, there's too much snow. We're doing it online now. When that first
Right.
happened, I was like, oh my God. I was so
And
disappointed.
I feel like the district was kind of moving toward not having real snow days anymore, even before the pandemic. If you remember those like FID days that all the
Yeah.
teachers were required to make. So I feel like the district was actually already moving away from doing this sort of thing when there were snow days, just because I feel like Avonworth has been very stingy with their snow days in the past, just because they don't want kids to like miss out on learning. And you know, they could have never foreseen the pandemic putting us out of school for. I was in
so
the
long.
best spot. I was in the best midst of the best spot.
Go now. Just say for so long.
I don't remember where I was at for
the
so
recording-
long.
They have been stingy with it. I remember going to school like 3 years ago or something, and it was like negative something degrees out, and it was snowing. But they were like, no, just go ahead, go to school. And we all went, and I think sometimes even like the power would go out, and they were like, eh. But then it would come on. You know, we have the backup generators and stuff. So yeah, you're right. Avonward is stingy with the snow days, and which always like frustrated me because, you know, we all want to just go out and go sled riding. So it can be really annoying when you're like, oh wait, I gotta go to school. But I think it's even worse because we'll be told not to go into the building, but hey, hop on your computer and come to class still. I think that's what's so annoying, just because like you're home, you can see the snow, you know, like, oh, I could literally step outside right now and just sled ride. And by the time I'm done with school, you know, I hope that the snow isn't gone or it's not too dark. Luckily, we're having a little bit more daylight recently.
That has been so nice.
Yeah, I know. That's the one thing about winter that I really dislike, is how dark it gets. Like how early, like, it gets dark. Yeah. I hate that. Like, it will get dark at like 5 or something. That's the worst, because then you go the rest of the day and you're like, oh, it's late. You look at the clock, it's only like 8, which, Danica, I know that's late for you, but but yeah, that's the worst part. So bring back snow days. We're starting that petition. There's been a lot of petitions this year.
You know, I'm gonna have to disagree with the petition here. They're bringing back the snow days. I have actually really liked being virtual for snow days, and I would much rather them give us a nice virtual day than like drag us into school like they have in the past. Well, that's what
I'm saying. I'm saying if they're going to just say snow day but like do virtual, then just say snow day but no school.
Right, but I feel like they're only giving us the snow day because we're still able to go to school now.
Oh, I see.
So there's a compromise being made here. Like, we're not going to drag you into school while the roads are bad and it's like -0 degrees. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. I feel that.
Right.
Well, speaking of being dragged into school, though, we could talk about the 9:30 check-in time, which
I didn't know where you were going with that, but that was a very smooth transition.
Thank you.
Yeah, talk about the 8:43 check-in time.
So for me, it's 9:30 because I'm virtual, so I have to have like my thing in at 9:30.
No, but you have period. You have our first class of the day with Mr. Gear.
Yeah. I have to be like in my class for that, but I don't have to be checked in Alma yet until 9:30. But the most frustrating part was that, you know, we had all just gotten used to first of all, so many changes just throughout the years. Like every few months, like every 2 months maybe, we get a change. Maybe every couple of weeks we get a change. But the hardest changes that we've been getting are like the time changes within the schedule, at least in my opinion. Like start times are different, or even the amount of days you have to go in. And being virtual this whole time too, it's changed for me, where I was completely not synced up with you guys at all, like on my own schedule, which had its bad parts and its good parts. And then all of a sudden, you know, I switch into, oh, okay, sometimes I'm going with you guys, and then now I'm full blown, you know, every day, you know, the 4-day week, going in. But that 9:30 check-in time, like, I don't know about you, but sometimes I just forget and like don't check into Alma, or it's bad.
I've gotten a little bit better with it, I think, or maybe I've even gotten worse. Maybe I've actually gotten worse with checking in on the right time. But I feel like having to wake up for school and actually going in as a hybrid student is the worst thing ever. We've only done this 4 times so far, but it's really taking a toll on me.
Yeah, I totally feel that. Not the waking up and going in, but the waking up in general. The waking up in general.
Sometimes I feel like even waking up, physically rolling out of my bed, which is 4 feet away, coming to this desk and having to sit present in our first period, is actually worse than getting up and going to school sometimes.
I hate to say it, I'm exposing myself a little bit, but I've done this quite a few times. I do this thing. I don't know if anyone else does it. Let me know. But I'll wake up. I'll set my alarm, right, and wake up at like 7:30 or something. I'm like, oh, not like an hour until class. I go back to sleep. And I wake up without another alarm at like 7:50. And then I'm like, okay, go back to sleep. And I do this like every 10 minutes until it gets to like 5 minutes until class. And I'm like, oh, I have 5 minutes. I fall back asleep and wake up like 1 minute left. I'm like, oh my God. So I wake up, and this is all subconsciously because I know I have to wake up. So I keep waking myself up without like the alarm clock. So then it's 1 minute till class. I hop in my class and I'm just laying there. I'm like trying to wake myself up as like that class is starting and they're talking and we're supposed to be doing stuff. And I'm like, and then I finally get up maybe like 10 minutes in the class or something. But like, I'm working on it. That's only happened to me a few times, but it's just like, it's a mental struggle.
Yeah, and you definitely aren't alone. There are so many people. I feel like our teachers actually start to get frustrated with us because they know that like we just woke up. Yeah. Like when we have our cameras off, mic off, like we don't say hello. Yeah. Like they know we just rolled out of bed onto the meet.
Yeah, literally. The camera off and the mic off are always indicator of that. But one thing I do appreciate with the teachers, especially, well, obviously this year because it's the first time it's happening, but they are very understanding. Like if you have your camera off or something, obviously.
I have found the opposite.
Really? For most of my classes, if you have the camera off, I haven't heard anything unless it's maybe like sometimes like an English class or something where you're supposed to be in a discussion. But like for my classes, like art class or something, like she doesn't mind if you have it off as long as you're still like doing your work. But what have you found?
Well, I just feel like a lot of teachers have had like a no tolerance, camera on, mic on, like, well, not mic on the side, but you know what I mean, like policy. I found just like teachers never really used to call out kids without their mic on and their video off before, but I feel like since we've switched to asynchronous, it's like we're up on the smart board, like you better have your camera on. And if not, you're going to get like called on like randomly to see if you're paying attention.
Being up on the smart board or something, it's just weird. We're just like in the front of the room and
I really like it. Like going into the classroom and then like seeing you in English, especially like seeing you on the screen. It makes me feel better. Maybe it's because I'm the only student in that class, but it's nice to have you guys on the smart board.
Yeah. See, I haven't been able to experience it from the perspective of actually looking at the person on the smart board. But that's what makes me nervous sometimes with even just having the camera on. I'm like, if I just woke up, do I really want to be in the smart board in front of everyone? Like, that's why I can't even remember a time when I literally would walk into school like that early and just go. Like, I can't fathom it now, which is weird. I want to go back to school, but I'm not allowed to right now. But hopefully maybe this next ending quarter, I would really like to come in and maybe experience that. Man, it's crazy to think about how different life would have been without this pandemic, like this year.
Right. And I feel like I've been thinking about that a lot more now that we're kind of approaching like the year. This was like really our last like few weeks last year before total like pandemonium and stuff. So I feel like that's all kind of weighing pretty heavy on our minds this February.
Yeah. So that actually goes right into our next point of the 5 days a week. Just just talking about more changes. Um, 5 days a week would definitely be something. I heard it's supposed to stay. I mean, this is just a something they're talking about right now. I don't know. I don't think it's confirmed yet. But it would be 5 days a week, and it would still be hybrid, I believe. Which I don't know how that would work. I don't know. I guess like Group A would go for like 3 days this week, and then 2 days, or like 3 days this week, and the one group would be short a day, and then the next week they'd maybe get like their 3 days, and then just back and forth who would have that extra third day. I'm not sure. That would be interesting. I mean, I don't want to. I like having Wednesdays off. Wednesdays are like my catch-up day, my day to really be able to participate in my clubs. That's a big help. Doing Avonews meetings, like, think about how difficult it's going to be to get those meetings in with everyone's different schedules, who's there, like at school, who's at home. It's just going to be a lot more difficult.
Right. And I can't even imagine going back 5 days a week under any circumstance. So I just can't really see us making that transition yet, especially because we've really only been back for like a certain amount of weeks. It just doesn't feel like the right decision. But there are some schools that have been back 4 days or 5 days a week, and they're doing fine. So
yeah,
maybe.
I just feel like there's a lot of like rushing involved in like our decision making. And I think that's partly maybe pressure from parents to get back to normal, or even students. I mean, we all want to get back to normal. I think that even if you have a difference of opinion based on like the pandemic or something, our general consensus and common ground is that we all would like to eventually get back to normal. We just have different paces that we want to go at to achieve that. But I just think 5 days a week is just too much right now. I mean, why, like 4 days a week has been working, so why fix something that isn't broken? Like that saying. I just feel like it's working right now. We're able to get our work done. We're still adjusting to waking up earlier than we were before. I mean, at the beginning of the year, seniors who were going into the building, like, you didn't even have to come for a lead right away, and the attendance was all the way back. You still don't? So, and then the attendance was also back. I don't know. I just feel there's a lot of too many changes in too little time.
Right. And I feel like the Avonworth student body here, I mean, I'd be interested to see what the results of maybe a poll would look like, but I feel like we'd really be 50-50 on this. Is there are just a lot of students that just want to go back to normal, like are really feeling that pandemic fatigue, and then there are others that are worried about like not only making the transition but the safety of the transition, which is the largest part of it. So I feel like a lot of kids would end up going virtual from that. And I even know a lot of people that have gone virtual since we've gone hybrid and asynchronous. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, a lot of people find that like maybe virtual helps them get their work done more or something, because they're on more of their own time, like day wise. And I know some people like they can't have early release because they have like a class at the very end of the day, but they have a lot of time in between. So when they're home, that time in between can be used doing other things, versus when they're at school, you have to be in the building. You don't want to leave and then try to come back for like your last class of the day. So honestly, this has revealed a lot to people. It's just how they like to work and what best suits them as well.
Right. And I even think about how, that big decision Avonworth made, like, I think it was 2 years ago now, when we got that chunk of lead time in the beginning of school. That was like the biggest deal, that we were getting a study hall at the beginning of school. And I feel like everyone really made a big deal about that. But with this pandemic, we've just had so much time to ourselves that I feel like schools have even realized that giving us more time independently is ultimately better for us.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. So moving on to sports, I talked about it a little earlier, but we have been wanting to do a little bit more sports coverage this year. And so being able to go to different sporting events just throughout the year, I mentioned this in the last podcast that Danica and I did, but it's a great experience to, have that sort of like normal aspects that we've been missing this entire year. But the boys basketball team is doing really good this year. They're like undefeated so far. Their games are always really intense and high energy. And I know there's a lot of sports teams doing really well though. Like I don't think enough people are talking about it because, just not enough students are able to be as involved as before. But yeah, Dan, your team is going right now. Like, I'm in a sport, but it's not until spring, so I can't speak firsthand, but if you want to talk about swim a little bit.
Oh, right. I really feel like there's such a disconnect, like as you mentioned, with all the sports teams this year, because we're all doing very well, but so separately that we don't really know which teams are also doing well.
Yeah.
So swimming has been doing really great. We're undefeated. We're going to Whitfields, like our big swim championship, at the beginning of March. So we're really looking forward to that. They did, in fact, decrease our cuts a lot more. So they're practically AAA cuts, even though we're only AA. But we've just had so many swimmers qualify. We've had our very first meet, we had 3 records broken, which was incredible. And we've just been doing really well given the circumstances. And we were off like almost the entire month of December. So with swimming and the muscle memory, it's just really tough when you take a break like that. Even sometimes a 2-day break throws you off. So it's been really interesting to, improve so much, and the whole team just do so well, go back to some sense of normal. And we've been really lucky to have really no health issues, no coronavirus cases. So we're crossing our fingers we can go to appeals.
Yeah. So that being said, I just want to say congrats to all of the sports teams that are doing really well. I was able to go to a hockey game last week, and that was a lot of fun. I was photographing the sport, and it was really intense. And all the games, girls basketball, boys basketball, wrestling, everyone right now. And the clubs like bowling, I know they were going to, I believe it was like regionals or something. So just big ups to all of you guys. I know it's a little tough this year not being able to have as many fans or that connection to the school, but just know we have a section for you in the Avonews, and we're excited to talk about you guys and celebrate the sports this year because you guys do a lot and bring a lot to the community. And that being said, last but not least, college. So this is geared at seniors, obviously, but we have a lot of things coming up with college, like final releases coming up in the next 2-3 months, and then a lot of people are starting to commit to colleges, especially the athletes, who are getting scholarships for it. But yeah, it's nerve-wracking. I actually find out tomorrow for one of the schools that I'm one of my top choices. I find out tomorrow if I got accepted. So yeah, I just want to say cross your fingers, but I don't know. I'm conflicted. I don't have just a number one choice anymore. I think as time goes on, in your college search, you really start to see oh my God, there's a lot of options out there, a lot. And wherever, I'm a big believer though, wherever you end up is where you're supposed to be, and this is kind of the path you're meant to take, and no matter what, it's going to be good for you because that is what was meant to happen, or the outcome is what it's supposed to be. You have control on it, but if I don't get into my number one choice, but I get into this one, I still think my options are going to be great.
That's a really good way to look at it. Yeah. And I feel like that's the best piece of advice you can give to a high school senior at this point.
Yeah. So keep your head up, guys. We're all going to get through this. It's going to be great. Also, if you're not going to college, or if you're going straight into the workforce, or a trade school, something like that, it's going to be exciting too. And I wish everyone the best of luck. It's kind of crazy to think that the people that we've been with for this long, since like kindergarten or whenever you came to Avonworth, these are like the final few months that we may see some of these people, some of you guys. It's both sad, but it's also exciting that we're all moving on to bigger, better things, getting past high school. And obviously we're gonna have like our reunions, our reunion dances and stuff. That will be very fun. We'll see how that goes. I didn't go to too many dances. I'm not huge on that, but I'll definitely come for the reunion. Maybe take pictures. So, it's been nice talking to you guys. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you on the next podcast, which will be out in a few weeks. Again, check out the new issue of the Avonews, and check out the website, linked in the description down below. Yeah, right here, sporting our shirts if you didn't see, got the drip on. But in the description down below will be a bunch of links to find us more. Check out our Instagram and follow us there. It's a good time. You get updated on the news every day, sports schedules, everything. So check that out. Matthew Purcell is in charge of really updating that, and Danica with the graphics, and we're just covering a lot there. So thank you guys for watching. We really appreciate it. Bye!